P.O.P podcast, let's go. The P.O.P podcast, let's go. The P.O.P podcast starts now.
Hello and welcome to the P.O.P podcast. I'm Jason Sirotin, joined by my co-host Scott Haley. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Love the shirt today.
Thank you. My last call was like, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
It's an official Nike sweatshirt. I get a lot of compliments on it. I wish I could have been wearing it where you were this last week as you celebrated the first annual P.O.P meeting in Utah. Tell me about it. What went down? Set the scene.
Yeah, just really cool. You know, Jason, you and I have been around this industry a lot of years. And so, you know, there's been so many good events and meetings that are beyond their first year, second year, 10th year. And you always kind of hear about like, hey, you know, you got to start somewhere. And this was our start of what we hope to be something much bigger as we go down the road. But, you know, high-end experience, Grand Hyatt Deer Valley. And it looked and felt that way. We brought about 40 doctors together along with our vendor partners. And I got to tell you, you know, the coolest part about this meeting for me was watching the doctors network, right? Like that's, I mean, and also I've been a part of so many meetings where people are trying to sell you something. And you know, I'm going to raise my hand. So are you. We've been guilty of that ourselves, right? But this meeting wasn't about that. This meeting was all about, you know, doctors coming together with some vendor partners additionally, but just really trying to help each other navigate this business that we're in.
I love that. And I think that's what I heard from our folks, Caroline and our CEO, Savvy, from Brain Bites, who were at the event. They were like, it's like no meeting I've ever been to. They were like, there's no tables, it's people connecting and really like finding that human connection. And that's something that we just love so much. Was that always your intention with this meeting? Like, or was this kind of organic because of who you are as a business?
You know, I think we're unique. We have 4 doctors they know what they want in a meeting, right? The 4 founders. You have myself, who's been in the industry for quite a while, right? So I kind of, you know, understand that game and the table game and the value that vendors can bring when they're subject experts, right? But not, and bringing in the right vendors and not 100 of them either, right? Right? Or taking advantage of them. So yeah, I think it's just kind of that perfect sauce, or it was so this last weekend, and you know, we would like to continue keeping that feeling and vibe together in terms of really, you know, the mission of the meetings are to be able to drive value. You think about it from a doctor's perspective. It's not cheap to stay at that hotel, right? You're flying out. Your family's paying $300 a person to go ski at this place, right? Not unless you're on the Epic Pass or the Icon Pass or whatever pass you're on. And so you better come out of that meeting with some ROI. And I mean, as much as product is great and all that stuff, they can't deliver enough ROI a lot of times to, you know, the ROI comes from this doctor connecting with that doctor and, you know, coming together to solve certain problems and learn how everyone's doing things. I mean, that's at the end of the day. And I like to tell people all the time, and I know you and I have talked about this. I mean, if this is our mission, then I think at P.O.P we're going to be really successful. People call me, we do the call. They want to figure out how to save money on stuff, right? That's where people's heads go immediately. And I believe in my heart that our vendor partners, we're going to save you money on your bottom line. We're going to help your overhead. And if we can't, then, you know, I'll be the first to tell you you're not a great fit for our group and you probably shouldn't join, right? Like, we're not trying to sign up people unless we can really help them save on their overhead. But our mission is that 3 to 5 years from now, I hope that's most doctors, that should be the third reason why you're in this group. It should be about the other things.
That's epic. That's what you want, right? That's community. That's
That's
not a business, that's a community. And I think that's what the big difference is between this and an OSO or a DSO is that you have community. Everybody's working together so that they can all be individually successful, not to make a group of 12 private equity folks rich. you know,
well, that's true. I would say, some of this is stealing it from the OSOs and DSOs because if your practice is acquired by private equity or OSO or DSO, now those doctors are now, they are forced to collaborate to some degree or whatever. I think you said the key thing though is they're collaborating, coming together to make, and in some cases they have equity in the business, but you get what I'm saying.
right,
This feels more meaningful because it's about their practices. It's for themselves, right?
Yeah, and that's critical, and I think that's why I can see this being 1,000 doctors very quickly because it's a great alternative. And plus, what I keep thinking about is like, imagine how good you guys are doing in the deals that you guys are getting now. But when you're 5-6 times the size, holy cow, is it going to be a sexy proposition?
Yeah, and yeah, and like I said, the exciting part about it is it's a home for the private practice orthodontist, right? Like it's giving them those tools and relationships to be able to envision whatever they want. You want to be a boutique practice, you want to be a monster practice, you're starting up new from scratch. We have it all under one roof right now.
Take me through kind of the day one. What did you guys do on day one?
Well, there was skiing involved day one, so let's just get that out of the. It was really nice. We had a welcome reception the night, Thursday evening. Then we got together on Friday morning. So we spent a half a day in a circle. We did a survey of our doctors. We wanted to understand what was their number one concern in their practices, right? And then that they wanted, they'd be curious to have a discussion around the table. And then
what was that? Wait, that's interesting.
They were. We probably got. It boiled down to probably like the scary part is it boiled down to probably like 8 to 10 things, right? That kind of like you can bucket them all together, anywhere from marketing to how. I think the most fascinating things that I heard were. There wasn't anything like, hey, I'm having a lot of bond failures, right? That might come up at lunch, like what's your bonding protocol? But it's things like, how do you drive Google reviews? How are you doing it in your practice? How are you, what are the strategies around Google reviews, right? How do you make them, how do you make it easy for your patients to give you a Google review? I'm learning stuff like you can put it on the phone. There's like swipe cards, right? One of the hot topics that was discussed for our doctors too was like, all right, and this can save people thousands and thousands of dollars, but like, how are you implementing ACH in your practice? We had a room of all these doctors. There was only a couple that are charging. You see it in restaurants all the time where they charge, if you're going to use a credit card, there will be a service fee of 3%. We have a couple doctors doing that. And, there was a robust discussion around that, right? Like in your community, is that something we should be implementing as orthodontists? Now, the beautiful part about it, being private practice owners and being a network, you might be like, there's no way I'm implementing a 3% service charge, right? But you're not being forced to do anything. You're just learning how everybody does it, and you can take it back and implement it if you do or don't want. We talked a lot about implementing retention as a revenue source in the practice, right? And best strategies around that and how to get the team involved on that. We talked about things like insurance, right? and that spun into different conversations. But we got done with our window of time, and Scott Nord, or Dr. Scott Nord, who is the moderator, he goes, we only got through 1/5 of the things I had here. And the beautiful part about it is we asked the doctors to bring in their pearls, right? Like their clinical pearls. We didn't really even get into that, but we knew who everyone's pearls were. So if they started talking about it, we could go back to what a doctor said that was one of their strengths, and then we could weave everything back and forth like that. And I got to tell you, I mean, I know these things exist. They're out there. There's other groups doing this. And so I don't want to pretend we invented something. There's some other groups and consulting firms that are doing this, and they're doing it well. But for me to see it in action like that was, I would say it was really inspiring. I'm going to tell you the other thing, and Jason, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. I'm going to tell you the second thing that I thought was the most inspiring part about this. I mean, that part was great. I mean, I've been doing this, you've been doing this a long time, and we talk about this all the time. You're in a community with, let's just say you're in a community with 10 orthodontists. These 10 orthodontists all consider themselves competitors, right? In most cases. And I think if you're an outsider coming into this community, it's kind of a strange phenomenon, right? Like, it's like there's 10 orthodontists in a community, and then you kind of ask, like, hey, do you guys meet up for coffee? And it's usually the opposite, right? Like, and not in all cases, but what we have here is it's like we have a bunch of doctors that have an abundance mindset, right? Like, they're not, in some cases, the doctors, as we grow here, will be sensitive to that, right? But really, they're totally willing to share what they're doing, right? They're totally open with what they're doing. And that, in my book, that's just like a really cool way to live, right? Our competitions, we don't look at the competition as being the private practice orthodontist. Our competition is, in some cases, ourselves, but maybe it is the corporate orthodontist, or it might be the general dentist that's dabbling in orthodontics themselves, right? And trying to capture those patients.
Remember in episode 1, and I've been thinking about this because when I couldn't make the event, it was the thing that was bothering me. Dr. Horsley kept teasing a special guest. Was there a special guest?
Yes, there was a special guest. We had Sean Bott, who's, I mean, he's not a magician. He calls himself a mentalist. And it was like we had like Las Vegas entertainment for our doctors, and it was unbelievable. And I'm still sitting here trying to figure out how he did what he did. And then it's also entertaining to watch doctors get pulled up on stage and have that happen to them, right?
What do you guys got planned for next year? Have you already started thinking about it? Like, will it be around the same timing?
Yeah, we're probably shooting for, I think, for our second year as we move forward, we'll be back in Utah. I don't know what area, but I would imagine it'll be tied to some sort of skiing event. I think as we take, our focus is continuous improvement. We're not afraid to ask our doctors what they want, what we could have done better. And so we'll just keep refining this thing so it becomes something that's even better the next time around. But like I would say, like definitely going to spend quite a bit more time on the small doctor group interactions and really tackling some of the challenges that they're having in their offices. And really, the best consultants are the people that are having success that actually do the same things that you do. So you might as well piggyback ideas off of each other.
That's for sure. When you guys are coming up with, what you're going to be doing in the following years, are you going to allow anybody to give feedback, or is there going to be a way for people to like make suggestions?
Of course, we will. What do you mean feedback? We'd love feedback.
All right. If people want to give feedback, is the best way to send you an email?
Oh yeah. Plus our doctors that are attending, our doctors that are attending the meeting, we're sending them a survey. I mean, we
Good.
took robust notes the whole meeting. I mean, so like, this isn't like, I mean, we had moments where the doctor's pens were going so hard and we said, you can take notes, but we had someone dictating and taking notes the whole time.
Well, that's great. Well, we should turn
So
that into
notes, survey, you come to this meeting, you're not just leaving with a Stanley water mug. We're going to send you back home with ideas and, the content of what you picked up there.
the community, which is lacking in the country and in businesses. And it's a really great one that Scott and the team have created over at P.O.P. So make sure you go to pop-ortho.com, go to the top right, click that schedule a meeting. It'll ping Scott. You guys will have a quick chat and it might change your practice. Scott, anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, enjoyed the conversation and you nailed it. I love talking to orthodontists, love learning about their practices and sharing the good stuff we have going. And like I said, maybe you're a fit, maybe you're not a fit. I mean, either way, we'd love to talk to you and see if we can help make those connections.
And if you are in need of marketing help, make sure you go to brainbitescreative.com and email Caroline Hosey at caroline@brainbitescreative.com for a free marketing analysis. On behalf of the team here at the P.O.P Podcast, I'm Jason Sirotin. We'll see you next time.
P.O.P. Podcast.